Welcome to the Kee To Growth Podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you're in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Kee To Growth Podcast. I am your host, Jen McKee, and today I am here with one of my, I'll say my friend and fellow marketer, Thaddeus Tondu of On Purpose Media. Thaddeus, why don't you tell people who you are if they don't know yet?
By the way, Jen, I would consider you a friend as well. So
okay, good.
I think we're okay on that. So,
I don't want to say that, and then you're like, no, we're just acquainted.
No, I would say a friend. I mean, we see each other at a lot of the same events, and we can message each other and have conversations. And I think we're industry friends. It would be the way that I would put it, and I would put you in that camp. There's others that I would call acquaintances, but I would say that look, anytime you message me or I message you, we're here to help each other, and so that's friendship. That's industry friendship right there. So
yeah.
So I'm Thaddeus Tondu. I am the CEO and co-founder of On Purpose Media. We started a digital marketing agency 5.5 years ago, rather. February 2020 is when we started. Quit my job and went all in on the agency, and I think we landed 5 clients in the first week, and then 4 weeks later, COVID hit, and we lost 4 of those 5 clients.
Oh,
and
no!
So it was a pretty interesting time to have started and ran a business. That's for sure. But fast forward 5.5 years, we've got 13 team members, in-house team members with our team. I'm big proponent of culture and doing things right via people first digital marketing. I will say, those that are watching, yes, I do have a black eye right now. And no, my wife did not. If you didn't
point it out, I don't think anyone would notice.
No, I mean, I'm noticed it because you can see, I've got the touch up appearance on. Okay. And so I'm touched up a little bit. So maybe if I took it off, you would see it. I was actually thinking, I'm like, maybe I should get my wife to put on some makeup on it. But my 2-year-old decided to jump off the top of he was on the back of the couch, and I was lying on the couch, and we were kind of like play wrestling or whatever, right? And so he just decides to set himself off of it, and his right here on his head, the top corner of his head smashed the top of my cheekbone and gave me my first black eye in 22 years. So I think I'm doing pretty good for having that track record. But anyways, that's a little bit about who I am in terms of the marketing side of things. So
yeah, awesome. So side note, my husband does jujitsu, and so sometimes he has black eyes and just random bruises and stuff. So I'm kind of used to it. Maybe that's why I don't notice it. He probably does jujitsu. It's fine.
Yeah. I didn't even notice it. He hit me on Sunday afternoon, and I didn't really think much of it didn't happen. And then my wife, I think on Monday, was just like, "Oh, you're starting to get a bruise." I'm like, "What?" Crazy. And so I went and looked. I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's a little yellow." And I don't generally bruise that easily or often. And then yesterday it was a little bit more, and today's a little bit more. I'm like, man, I really hope it doesn't get purple because it's big. You can now you see it, it covers the whole bottom of my cheekbone. So if it goes black and blue, that's going to be a big one. So
it's okay.
Yeah, well.
Okay,
whatever.
So one thing I think is always interesting, and one of my favorite places to start with any story is at the beginning. So you said that you guys started this in 2020, which we all know is crazy times. But when did you really find that the trades industry was going to be kind of where you were going to live in this marketing arena?
Yeah. September 2020. So we had a few different niche industries. We had an HVAC client, we had a roofing client, we had a pet grooming, dog store. We had a doggy daycare, and 2 other ones, a couple other ones in the summer. There's more. But when we started analyzing, okay, well, which ones are the best clients and the more like us and who we are. We started looking at the trades, right? And we had an agency coach then. He's like, you guys should niche down into one. And so we kind of went back and forth and looked at it, and we were actually getting really good results for the HVAC client. We were actually getting really good results for the roofing client too. And so it was like a toss up. Do we go roofing or do we go HVAC? Because, we looked at okay, well, which is more of our brand, and Ian, my co-founder at the time. And so we're no longer together in the business. We went through that process in the fall of 2024 of, moving apart from each other with different visions, different story for a different day. But the when I look at going down there, we're like, well, he was a comfort advisor at one point, and so
Oh,
he
okay.
had a little bit of so he had a little bit of the HVAC experience and understanding, and so we're like, you know what? Fuck it, let's go down into the HVAC world. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear on your podcast, but I just did. So,
Yeah.
if I can, they'll put a bleep over it later. And
Right.
so we went down the that road of going down into the HVAC space, because at the end of the day, you know, I'm more blue collar than anything myself, with just having to be in a white collar, you know, role in ownership of a marketing agency.
Okay. So, we actually work with like plumbing, HVAC, electrical, but we started working with roofing. So do you still only focus on HVAC, or have you kind of branched out?
We're
into
starting to
other
branch out a little bit
verticals?
more. Yeah, we're starting to branch out a little bit more. Like our bread and butter is HVAC, plumbing, electrical. I would probably say that 90% of our client database are plumbing, HVAC, or electrical clients, and we've taken on a couple of roofers lately. And we've had a flooring store for a while before, and so we're not opposed to not taking them on. They're similar avatars when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
You look at HVAC. Well, you got repairs and you got installations. Well, in roofing, you've got repairs and you've got installations, and so
Right.
it's the same avatar. A little bit bigger of a ticket sometimes in roofing, just depending on the nuances of the industry and where you're at. But similar avatar, similar pain points for people. A little bit less of a difference of like a roofing pain point, because you think about roofing, well, they don't really think about the roof unless it's leaking or they're going to get it repaired.
Were
But
there shingles on the ground? That's what was happening.
right, or
to
the
me.
shingles on the ground, right? So like, I went to my rental house and I found shingles on the front yard, and I went up on the roof. I'm like, oh, and the one tenant's like, oh yeah, I saw those like 2 weeks ago, and I just didn't think they were from our house. I'm fuck.
Yeah.
So I ended up fixing it myself. It was pretty easy right at the top on the peak. But anyways, where like air conditioning, well, if their AC's out and they're in the south, they've got a pain problem, right? If their furnace goes out and they're in the north, they got a pain problem. So it's a little bit different, but very similar.
Yeah, totally agreed. Okay, so one like big thing that I want to be sure that we talk about in this conversation is AI search. So I told Dad that, you know, this episode will be released in October. We're talking here at the end of July. So just a caveat to whenever you're listening to this is that things are changing on a daily basis. But some of the big conversations I'm seeing around this is that AI search is hard to track. And that your website needs some kind of like specific things in order to be sure that AI can find it. Like, how are people, you know, like you search ChatGPT and I feel, you know, we know enough about ChatGPT now to know that it's kind of a mirror and it tells us what we want to hear. And so, of course, like when we search who's the best plumber near me, like you're going to show up if you're the person searching it. But like, how do we get that to show up on everyone else's ChatGPT?
Well, that's the $1 million question. And look, there you ask 10 SEO experts what their opinion are, and you're probably going to hear 10 different answers. Because I look at SEO, it's almost like an art. In an art form, you see some people that have a lot of modern art, and when they splashes of paint on a canvas, they're like, "Look at this! I paid thousands." I'm like, well, I wouldn't pay $5 for that.
Yeah.
Where somebody has a very nice landscape that is painted in there, and they love it, and they paid thousands of dollars. Other people might be like, "Well, I wouldn't pay $10 for that." And so again, art form, right? How do you get to the end result? Well, Google gives you the blueprint in terms of what they're looking for and what they're asking for. It's just a matter of listening to the algorithm and following through with it. The biggest part, and like ChatGPT, same thing, expertise. So it's the EEAT, right? It's your, I always forget one of the E's every single time when I'm on the spot. Experience, expertise, authority, and trust, right? When you look at that, that's been the same thing for years, right? Nothing has really changed. If you provide great content, guess what's going to happen? You're going to naturally show up in all those places. In fact, November 2024, if I look at somebody's back end reports, you can use tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs, Ahrefs, in case somebody's wondering, Ahrefs. There's many different ones out there. I can generally pinpoint I mean, I'd have to do a deep dive to find out, but usually if rankings tanked in like end of October, November 2024, if your rankings went down, you used heavy AI content.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. We use AI content in our business. We have a human that prompts it, AI writes it, a human reviews it, and then we auto post it onto the website. And so like we're with AI. And so like we do that, but we're human reviewing it because so indoor air purification units. I love telling this story. Indoor air purification units. We were writing this actually happened more than once, where it had actually said at the very end of the article that putting in an IAQ system inside your house will actually help with erectile dysfunction. And then it put a link to WebMD's erectile dysfunction. And then it put a link to WebMD's erectile dysfunction where it didn't even talk anything about IAQ. Like, it was the wildest thing. We haven't seen it in a little while, but like, if you blindly trust AI to run those things for you, then you might have to run into some issues from that perspective. But when you look at, okay, how do I show up in ChatGPT? How do I show up in the AI overviews? How do I show up in AI mode, which is Google's answer to ChatGPT? And again, as of July 30th, like, AI mode is still new, right? And this is when we're recording, is July 30th. And so I'm glad that you preface that, because October, when this comes out, this could be completely for naught. I don't necessarily think it's going to, ChatGPT's interface and usability, I mean, other than Operator that came out, hasn't really changed a whole robust amount other than newer models, right? And a little bit smarter.
Well, the AI agent mode, which is interesting.
Yeah, an AI agent mode, like they're making some advancements on that, but I think by and large the general population hasn't quite gone to that level yet. Will they get there? Yeah, absolutely. I think in October they probably won't get there. But how do you show up in there? Well, you put good content out on your website. Okay?
Can we talk about what that is? Because I think that, like, I use the word content a lot, and it's completely different than you using the word content. But I can imagine that someone that isn't doing marketing is like, okay, what does good content even mean?
Sure. So good content is, you think about this, and let's just use HVAC, right? Because a lot of the people that are listening are in HVAC. We both know it. And you look at AC repair, for example. Well, you can build what we call topical authority. Topical authority is creating an expertise around a singular topic, right? That's what topical authority means. So if you look at your website, well, you think about all the questions that somebody might ask about AC repair. Write them all down. You could have 5. I mean, you're probably going to get a lot more than that. I mean, shit, we came up with 98 for drain cleaning alone.
Do you use something like Answer the Public, or you use like a keyword Google Trends, or?
Yeah, like we've compiled it over the last
year.
Over time of just like all the questions that we have. And so like we've got this document that for AC repair has like 77 different types of questions that people might ask. Well, you write a blog post on that particular question. Okay. Here's a hidden nugget that a lot of people won't do is, if you take that question, okay, now record an Instagram video or reel on that question and put it out there, because guess what? Instagram is now indexing on Google. So showing up Instagram results, but it's videos. And so now you have the same video on that same topic. You've got your blog post on that same topic. Maybe you put that same thing out onto YouTube. Now you've got a YouTube video on that same topic. You then take and put it on LinkedIn, even though your customers might not be on LinkedIn. But guess who owns or has an ownership stake in ChatGPT and Bing and LinkedIn? Well, it's Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
So if they're gathering that information, that's what I mean by like good content. You put good topical authority content out there across all of these platforms. I would even say Reddit, but you got to be very careful with Reddit, because if you come in marketing heavy within your first 2 to 3 months on Reddit, you're done. You're dead in the water, because like Reddit's like anti-marketing. It's
Reddit
great.
Is so I always go to this. Like I'm actually a daily Reddit like lurker. And Reddit is so anonymous. I know everyone's like, oh, Reddit for marketing. Reddit does, like, you get questions answered on Reddit, but I agree with you. It's not really like the strategy behind it is not something that is scalable, I feel like, or like something where you can be so intentional about it.
Yeah, and I think there's ways to be able to use Reddit the right way. And so like you can do, so there's tools that are out there that actually monitor different subthreads.
Right.
Keywords.
Yeah.
We
have
groups,
one.
right? Like, yeah. And so like I use one for Facebook groups, for example, right? And I think contractors could probably use this too. I think it scans Facebook groups every 2 hours, and you can have up to 20 or 25 Facebook groups.
Do you use Top Recon, or do you use something different?
I use something different. I use DDevi, which is the tool that I use. I've used it before, and like I've chatted with Tersh and Josh about Tap Recon. Good program,
cool.
but I'm already in bed. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I'm already in with DDevi. I'm grandfathered in on pricing. Like their new pricing is like
You don't want to
2
get
times
out.
as what I'm paying. I'm like, why would I double my payments, or even triple my payments in some cases, because I'm grandfathered in on old pricing. But you can monitor keywords, and then you respond back with helpful information. And that's how you can generate Reddit. But you mentioned something earlier, something you got to do on the website. I know there's this big debate right now, and there probably still is, and there's always going to be, about your platform. Okay? Should I build on Webflow? Should I build on WordPress? Should I build on Duda? Should I do custom coding? Should I build on Wix? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Should I build on my own content management system or CMS? Like some of the bigger ones, some of the bigger companies have their own back-end infrastructure and where they build on. At the end of the day, is if you have a good fast loading website for the user,
Mm-hmm.
and you have crawlable structured content via HTML, and that's going to mean nothing to a lot of people that are listening to this podcast. If you have good structured content that is easily crawlable by AI, it doesn't matter the platform. WordPress can be very bloaty and slow if you don't build it the right way, but you can still do it the right way and still serve the AI models the right way if your developers know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so to recap, we don't really know how to get on ChatGPT's good side besides continuing to focus on good content both on your website and on your social media. Another one that you mentioned was LinkedIn, and LinkedIn has always indexed really well on Google too. And so TikTok videos were also being indexed by Google. I don't know if they still are because I haven't seen them in a while, but there was a time at least a year ago where they were, and they were popping up in search results. But it's another reason why anytime that we're creating video, we put it on YouTube, and it adjusts the description, make it more about answering questions or having some good keywords in there so that those things do pop up when people are answering questions too. So your blog content could then become your social media content, which could also become your video content. And that way you're really hitting all of the marks. And all of that mixed together can help us look better to AI.
Correct. Everything
Awesome.
together in one, right? Like there's not just one magic silver bullet, there's a whole bunch of things. I was reading a post in a Facebook group today. Somebody asked about a software that pulls jobs from or photos from House Call Pro and puts them onto their Google business profile. And it's like $1,000 per month software. I'm like, that's like 4 to 5% of what matters on Google business profile rankings.
Oh, really?
Why would you like it's, and so,
couldn't you just do that on Zapier, pulling like an API from House Call Pro?
They used to have it where you could pull photos from jobs completed, but now it's not for whatever reason, and we're going to probably revisit it, maybe build our own API and be able to pull. Yeah, it's just it's bizarre. And so their APIs are. We don't need to go down that road. Let's go Pro and Service Titan APIs and backend and yada yada yada. So
too confusing.
But in a perfect world, yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So one thing then I want to talk about right before we started recording, we were talking about marketing ecosystem, which is like one of my favorite topics. And I actually, the last presentation that I gave last week, I started talking about marketing ecosystem, which I've never talked about in a presentation because I don't we focus on social media, but like you just said, marketing doesn't exist like in a void. There isn't like one thing that you can do that's going to greatly, I mean, there probably is 1 or 2 things, but even then it's like 5 things you can do that is going to greatly impact you. Or like, where do you start? I mean, when someone calls to talk to us about social media, if they're still running off of a Wix website and haven't started focusing on anything on Google, I usually refer them to a Google referral partner that I have, because I do think that's a better place for home service companies to start. Although I also let them know that but you should still be posting on social media. Actually, you shouldn't not be doing it. It should be the first thing that you do. It maybe isn't the first thing that you invest in someone else to do for you, but I do think that it is one of the easiest, least expensive, and most impactful things that you can do for your business whenever you're starting off. Correct. Although it's probably better if it comes from your personal profile than a business profile, but you still need that too. But anyways, all that to say, let's get into a little bit of marketing ecosystem. So when you talk to people, where do you normally suggest that they start?
It kind of depends on the season of the business, to be honest. I mean, if they're 0 to $1 million in home services, their budget's going to be a little bit limited. If they're 1 to 3, this could be different, 3 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 plus, right? And so, and like you can even go 15, 20 plus, but usually 10 plus has a lot of the same similarities. It's just bigger in that scale when you do it. So it kind of depends on where somebody's at, to be honest. And so like if you're 0 to $1 million, or if you're brand new and starting out, and it also depends on the goals, right? If you're 700,000 per year business, you're like, well, I'm happy being a 700,000 per year business. Great. Keep doing it. Right. Like you don't need to be this $10 million per year business. I always want to make that clear. Just because social media tells you that, you should, doesn't mean you actually should. Do what makes you happy. If you want to be $1 million per year business, great. Do that. I think that at the end of the day, somebody needs a really good website. To start off. That's like number one. And you don't need like a 100-page website when you're first starting out. You need something that's going to be able to be designed to convert the customers that are landing on your site. Because social media, even when they see you're like, that's the they can do it themselves. It's free, right? Post it, send it. Like use your personal profile, post it because your friends are going to be watching, right? I had that big debate when we went into this, like, do I turn my personal profile into a bit like use it for business, or do I create a separate one? And the coach we had was like, just use your same one.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. I actually landed some clients as a result because I didn't know who was on my friends list. Now, I mean, I never really used my Facebook profile much for anything anyways, other than like,
right. Like how much are you actually posting? Might as well turn it into something that's helping.
Might as well turn it into something that's helping, right? Now it's something that's completely robust and people look at it and like, oh, it's a business account, right? Like I don't post photos of my kids' faces anymore. That's just a personal choice we made, right? I mean, you did when they were younger, and like if I were to post it, I'd put something over their face. I mean, then it empowers them to make their choice on social media later on if they want their face on there or not. But anyways, a website, people are going to click on your social media and land on your website. They're going to see it. Now, does your website look professional and is it designed to convert? You kind of need that, right? Now, again, you don't need the 100-page website. You could start with a simple 5 to 7 page site if you're brand new. Now, if you're $1 million plus, I would say you probably need a bigger, more robust site with dedicated pages for everything. Once you get into that layer of 5, 6, 700,000 and beyond, you want to start investing into those SEO infrastructures, in my opinion, while still doing social media, because social media is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Once you have your ecosystem dialed in from an SEO perspective, then you're going to want to look at paid platforms. Plus, you've also done social media at this point. Now you want to start looking at paid platforms or even paid social media of somebody like what you guys do, and putting that fuel to the fire and paid, because you guys also do paid ads as well on social media or paid Google ads. Now, the thing with that is it does cost money, and not everybody. My phone picked up and I said Google.
Your phone's like, yes.
Yeah, every time I say Google, it's funny when I'm recording a video, when I talk about Google, it actually it'll stop the recording and it'll pick up Google Gemini. I'm like, I'm recording a video phone.
So
like,
funny.
Come on.
Leave me alone.
But you think about PPC and pay-per-click or Google ads. Well, you're on average spending $400 to acquire one customer.
Yeah.
And so people are like, well, I'm going to spend $1,000 a month on Google ads. I'm like, okay, well, you get 2 customers. Maybe
right.
3, right? On average. And so like, is that worth it for you? Then you got to factor in lifetime value and all those other things where it can become expensive, right? Facebook, you can generally acquire a customer for less.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You probably have the data. I mean, it's been years since I've looked at the data. We used to run Facebook ads and we stopped. I mean, it was about $250 per acquired customer on Facebook.
Yeah, that's about right.
It cost us to do that. But you have to sift through a lot of garbage. Like one out of every 10 people that submit a form or come in for a lead request are actually good leads. The other 9 are just shoppers, tire kickers, or they don't even remember they submitted a form, right?
Yeah.
Even if you send them to a landing page and they fill out their information, they still don't remember filling out the form. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So crazy. What are people doing at night? Like drinking wine and taking sleeping pills, and then they're like, I don't even remember.
I'm scrolling in bed.
I don't know. I'm just kidding. But I mean, I think that all owners listening to this can relate to that, because they're like, these people say they don't remember us. I'm like, well, we didn't make this information up.
No,
like, I don't know.
It literally happens. It's wild.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how it got there.
Right. It's like, it's just, Yeah, drinking wine. I mean,
They're
drinking wine, taking
blacking
a sleeping
out.
pill sounds like a recipe for a good night's sleep.
Yeah. Right.
But that's just the reality. It's like, okay, well, how much are you willing to spend? Most people, when they're under $1 million, and I don't know the audience of your listeners, but if you're under $1 million, most people, when they hear like, well, I got to spend $250 to $400 to acquire a customer from paid socials, no thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just like, but it's a reality. Like the bigger the bigger the business, the more you need to spend on marketing. But then you get into that, like that 1 to 2 to 3, and you can probably even do this beforehand. Now you factor in branding. Okay, well, what sort of branding are you going to do? Well, first off, is your brand even good or not? Like, is it your name's heating and cooling, which is nothing wrong with Bob's Heating and Cooling if that's what you chose. But is your logo a snowflake and a flame, and and are your colors blue and red? Right?
Are you memorable, and do you look professional? I mean,
Correct.
I think even thinking about what you're saying, like a bad website, you can charge more when you have a better website. You can charge more when you have a better branding. You can charge more when you have more marketing. Like that's where this like idea of this marketing ecosystem comes in, is that all of these things come into play. And when you're talking about getting a customer for $400, well, then you could also make more money off of that person year after year, or as you add more trades, or as you encourage them to refer, or as they leave reviews for you on your Google business profile. So there's like so many ways to leverage a lead. And if you don't have the systems in place, then you're essentially spending money and losing money and not really taking advantage of everything that you can fully get with every piece of your marketing ecosystem.
Correct. And so like we have one of our clients, they're a mid 8-figure company, and they spend 8 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures on marketing every single year, right? Like it's probably low 7 figures on marketing. They want to have a customer acquisition cost of $500 across all their channels, right? If we can take a blended total of, say, and this is very rudimentary math, but if they say, I'm going to spend this much on marketing and we brought in this many new clients, well, this is our customer acquisition cost from our marketing. That's just rudimentary math. I mean, you can get granular of saying, okay, well, what was returning and blah, blah. What did you do for your existing clients, et cetera? I'm just going on like straight old school. This is how much I spent. This is how many new clients I brought in. If that number is $500, they know that they're making money. And people are like, well, what? $500 across all the marketing? Yeah, because their lifetime value of their customers is $30,000.
Yeah.
Like that's the other part that I think people miss when you think about a marketing plan, right? That's what we were talking about beforehand in this marketing ecosystem, is saying, okay, what's my push along, right? What am I going to continue to do to be able to make sure those people are front and center with me? So I don't have to always acquire new customers. Now I have repeat customers, right? And that's what this company's understood, is that, hey, I know that every 10 to 12 years, 15 to 17, depending on where you're at, right? They got to replace their stuff. They got to replace their furnace. They got to replace their air conditioner. Well, if I can get them on a maintenance agreement, but I get them and I get them on a repair when their system's 5 years old, but now I get them on a maintenance agreement. Now I keep them for 7 years on a maintenance agreement. Plus then I replace their system 7 years later.
Yeah.
Like, it's this, what are you doing in your marketing ecosystem to be able to stay front and center with the current people that you've already paid to acquire?
Yeah. I know. And I think that's hard. And that's kind of where our conversation was going earlier. Like if you are under $1 million and you in whether you just started your business or you haven't really worked on the business side of your business ever, it's really hard to know, like, well, what should my marketing plan look like, and how should I spend the money, and how much should I allocate? And all of those things can be really challenging. But I think it's one of those things that you just have to like try and see, and take your overall revenue and take a percentage of that, even if it's only 3% to start off with or 5% to start off with, and see what you can do that for your website with that money. See what you can do to be a part of your community with that money, and be a little bit more intentional about what the plan is, and know that it all just starts to snowball on top of each other. And then next year, look at your data, see what you got out of that spend, see if it was worth putting another % or 2 or 5 into, and do the same thing over again.
Mm-hmm. And like this is coming out in October-ish, and so I'll be running. I don't know the dates yet. I mean, we're in July, and so I'll be running a webinar in November on a yearly planning workshop where we actually take a look at planning for marketing and seeing what looks into it. And now, obviously, the focus is going to be heavily on the digital side because that's what I do. I actually came from the branding side. I used to sell print ads and print magazines. So in November, reach out to me, 719-824-1377, and just say I'm interested in attending that webinar. I'll send you the details once we launch it. So you can sign up and watch. It's 719-824-1377.
Cool. Yeah. And then you can just give us the link too. Whenever we release this episode, we can put it in our show notes. And that way, if there's a link, you can join.
Yeah, I will make sure. I will see what the old one was. Yeah, because we'll just use that same link and replace it and change it. Put 2025 on there, and away we go. Rinse, lather, repeat. But we're already planning into we've got all of our marketing planned to the end of December rather, in along with the webinar topics that I'll be running and such. And so I mean that's used to be we used to never do that, right? We're a marketing company, never had a marketing plan. We just did whatever felt good, right? And you're talking a little bit about that. There's so much that can go into it. But I think the other thing, and I think a lot of people need to wrap their head around this, depending on the size of where you're at, is that marketing is an investment. Right? You should be looking to spend, if you want to really grow, 10 to 12 to maybe even 15% of your revenues back into marketing. If you're looking to maintain 6 to 8, if you're already there and you're happy, great, 3 to 5%. And if you're still uncertain because you were a technician turned owner and you don't really know, well, there's a lot of tools and resources out there. There's a ton of best practice groups out there. Chatting with somebody that they said they were part of ClearPath, and it actually because they're like, I was an AC technician, started a business, didn't really know what I was doing. I joined ClearPath. They helped guide us. We put a marketing plan together, business plan, helped on the back end. There's BDR, there's Surface Nation, there's CEO Warrior, there's what's the other one? They have Super Meeting.
Nexstar,
right? There's a ton. Home Service Freedom is doing it. There's so many out there.
Yeah, Home Service Freedom, Certain Path. But did you mean Certain Path or ClearPath, or are those two different things?
ClearPath. I don't know, maybe Certain Path, ClearPath, one of the two.
Certain Path. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that if you're a technician turned owner, you're not alone. There's so many people like that. And Thad and I are both a part of a marketing best practice group or mastermind group, which is how no matter what business you're running, I have always invested in support in my business from the beginning. And even when I was spending 20 or 30% of my revenue in it, but just because I knew that was and I'm not saying to do that, my revenue was really small, but that was what I needed in order to know what to do next. Most recently, I've invested in EOS, which also was a huge investment for even our revenue at the time. I just have a tendency to do that. I'm a little risky when it comes to investments,
but you're investing in the future of your business, right?
Right. And I know what's possible. And so in EOS, that's actually where we made marketing one of our rocks from the very beginning. And it was just using ChatGPT makes it so much easier too, because you can, for me, mapping out a clear plan is a little bit challenging. But if I can go to ChatGPT and say, okay, today is, July 1st, I'm working on my Q3 marketing plans. Here's all of the things that I have in place. What are my milestones? What are my deadlines? And we do a rocks workshop where we figure out what our bottlenecks are and what it's going to look like, what does done look like, because a marketing plan is a breathing being also, but
never, it's always, there's always an evolution to it.
Yeah. So what does it actually mean to be done with this? And then looking at Q4, what do we need in place? Because you're talking about already having something in store for your marketing in November. When we're looking at events as a marketing company to the trades, that's a huge part of my marketing plan every year, and knowing the end of the year is going to be heavy in travel, heavy in these marketing expenses for booths and swag and all of these things. But I know that it's going to make an impact, and we put it into our planning sessions every quarter now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an investment, really. I like that. And like you said, the same best. I'm actually part of two groups that I invest in, and I also have a personal mentor that I invest in as well. And so and he came up in through the online world as well. And so there's I have 3 things that I've invested in for our business in order to be able to help it grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Never try to
Yep.
do it alone. You don't have
No,
to.
no.
I think that's what
Success
it
leaves
is.
clues.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
And then and when you don't have it, I mean, I think, like I said, I've always invested in it financially, but there's also books and podcasts and content that you can consume that can help you. Like you said, like this podcast is a great example of a marketing tool. Like when you don't know what to do next, see what other people are doing, what other people are talking about, and that can
Mhm.
help inspire or just provide like options for what that next move is for you.
Agreed.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of our show here. And at the end of our show, we always ask people the same question. And you are on the Kee To Growth podcast. So, what is the key to growth?
There are so many things. I think it sums up perfectly to one of my an older mentor of mine. It was also a boss at one point too. Is that it's almost like success, right? Is doing the things you don't want to do. And if you can do the things that you don't want to do, and you can really push that forward, I think that you're going to have that growth. And the other part of that is getting out of your own way, getting out of your own head. And I think a lot of people mull on decisions too long, and before they know it, the time has passed. It's speed to execution is the big thing. I mean, the people that have the biggest companies, they've failed more than any other person because they try things, and they also realize that if it's not working, to move on from it really quickly. So the other part would be your people. I know there's like a few, there's not just like one thing to growth, but like your people, in executing with your people, because if you don't treat your people right, you got no product, you got there's no company.
Yeah, I love that.
Yep.
I love all of that. And I have a mentor that would teach us that money loves speed, and she would do it in kind of fun ways of like, come get this money from me right now. But I think that's a good one. So if people are wanting to find you and reach out, where can they find you at?
onpurposemedia.ca is the web address. So onpurposemedia.ca. They can, of course, find me on Facebook. It's Facebook. I don't even know what it is. Facebook.com/Thaddeus.Tondu. Just search Thaddeus Tondu on Facebook. I'm the only one that comes up.
Right.
Or you can text me at that number. Like I said, 719-824-1377 if you have questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time here. This was awesome. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen.